There's been a ton of hype around NFTs, but what are they really? Daniel Seufer from Chainstack, an expert on the NFT ecosystem, is going to join us today to talk about what we think utility is now and how it will evolve over time. We'll also talk about NFTs and how communities are deeply intertwined. It's been a really interesting discussion, so let's get to it. Maybe we could start today with you giving us a quick intro about yourself, your expertise, and what you're working on. Like, what do you do at Chainstack?
So I'm responsible for the overall growth for all our NFT clients and any sort of protocol or company that is utilizing NFT technology, and helping them kind of grow and scale their infrastructure in the most reliable and scalable way. It's really cool because I get to work with all your NFT marketplaces, fractionalization protocols, like NFT renting protocols, metaverse studios, NFT ticketing, and pretty much any sort of company that uses NFT technology. So this has led me to kind of learn immensely about NFT technology, where we're kind of going, where a lot of the companies and protocols are kind of heading, and really allowed me kind of focusing on how brands are using NFT technology, how it's allowing them to kind of build a better brand experience, and just so much more about NFT technology overall, rather than, hey, do I want to buy this NFT and use it as my PFP picture, or sell it on one of the marketplaces for a profit or a loss. So
The first topic that I'd really like to tackle today is NFT utility and functionality. I know that this is something that you're very focused on, so maybe before we start, let's start with defining what an NFT actually is. So I think that for some of our less technically inclined listeners, it may not actually be clear to them. Are they just JPEGs that you own? Are they just digital assets, or are they something more?
yeah, absolutely. So an NFT is a non-fungible token, which is a cryptographic asset on a blockchain network that has unique identification codes and unique metadata that all make them unique to each other. So this means that there's only one of each NFT. Even theoretically, if it has the same artwork, it's the metadata, which is mean the data behind the NFT, is all different. Which means it may be the same exact picture, right? You may have a picture of a flower, but there's picture one, there's picture two, there's picture three, there's picture four, etc., which makes them all unique to each other. This is different compared to a fungible token, which like the most common is your ERC20 token, right? Like an Ethereum token, where one Ethereum equals one Ethereum. It doesn't matter. There's theoretically no difference between my Ethereum versus your Ethereum. They're still one Ethereum, compared to my NFT is different from your NFT. Does that make
Right.
sense?
It makes sense, but I think that it isn't really the way that NFTs are. So I think when we talk about NFTs, like you're right, like they're unique tokens that exist on a network and they're proven cryptographically. That's all very accurate. But I think that there's this kind of like conceptual layer behind NFTs which lives beyond that. Like there's the NFT as the technical asset, the technical thing that lives on the blockchain. And then there's the NFT in what it enables. There's the NFT in who it enables you to talk to. Like there's the NFT as the concept, and then there's the NFT as the technical item.
I guess less than the technical part about it. An NFT could be used in so many different ways, right? First off, art, right? So being able to put digital art out there, whether it's photography, paintings, anything else, and essentially keeping them online. That's probably one of the key reasons that kind of started NFTs. You're able to use them as token gated experience. There's people that are using them for NFT ticketing. So in order to get into this event, you have to have this NFT, that type of stuff. So there's a lot of future use cases that I'm sure we'll get into. that I really think is really bullish for the NFT ecosystem. I'm not sure if you want to start in one topic versus the other and kind of go from there. I'll leave it up to you.
Let's stick with what we're talking about today, and next I'd like to go into what we deal with tomorrow. What's your take on what's neat? Like what's neat in the NFT ecosystem? What's genuinely useful?
So I think what's definitely useful is first off is art, right? Like art is a story as old as time, right? Um, I'm not going to get into the specifics of why some people pay hundreds of millions of dollars for a Rembrandt or a Da Vinci or anything else, but some people will always appreciate art, and that will always be a use case. Besides for art, there's a lot of utility behind a community, right? So a community is a group of people, living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. And in this case, um, NFT communities are both. Um, Typically, an NFT community will live in the same Discord channel, and they will have the same characteristics of using the same picture or owning the same NFT asset, or same like collection of the NFT asset. So that kind of brings them together. And now what each community does is very different, right? I mean, I've heard stories of people making their best friends in NFT communities. There's networking communities. There's communities that give you access to certain trading tools. There is networks that give you access to private nodes. There's networks that are kind of alpha groups, or any various reason why you would want to be part of that community. But I think at the end of the day, there are so many communities for so many different reasons, and you just kind of have to find the community that or communities that you fit best with and that you're most interested in being a part of and contributing to.
Next, I'd like to talk about what we might do tomorrow, because I think that you're in a position to talk to the people that are building the functionality in NFT standards going forward. Do you think that the way that NFTs are used today is actually a good representation for how they'll be used in the future?
Representation, no. Do I think the use case will still be there? Absolutely. I don't think we'll ever get away from art or from community kind of building aspects. Do I believe that will be the main driver of NFT technology in the future? No, I do not believe that.
What do you think is going to be the main driver?
I think that there's many. I don't think it's one use case. I think it's a multitude of applications and how they will kind of grow and expand as technology becomes a belt, but also more use cases kind of go on. The first, right? I think the next phase that we see is the bridging between DeFi and NFTs. And what I
Interesting.
mean by this is that, like I mentioned, right, previously, like an NFT is there's one NFT that you owned. That means in order to sell and like buy an NFT, you have to have exactly one buyer and you have to have exactly one seller, and you guys have to agree on a common price, which is very different compared to if you wanted to sell your one Ethereum, you could just go to any sort of centralized exchange or decentralized exchange and sell it at any moment's notice. You know, so there's protocols that are now innovating and unlocking liquidity with your NFT, right? So, I mean, most people are familiar with like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, right? I mean, they're valued roughly, are $100,000 right now. I mean, there's some that are rare that people value at millions of dollars. There's some that are a little bit less, but let's just say $100,000. $100,000 for most people is a significant amount of money. Um, but what happens if you need to take a loan out or something against your NFT, for whatever reason, right? You want to put a down payment on a car or a house or something else, and you don't have the money available to you, right? I mean, in the traditional world, you go to a bank, you take a loan of credit out, or you put it on your credit card, essentially the same thing, and you'd work to pay it off. What you're able to do now with your NFTs is a similar thing where there's two main methods of doing it right now. The first one is using an NFT like loaning platform, and this could be in two different methods. There's a peer-to-peer protocol, and there's called a peer-to protocol type of method. So essentially, there's a really good use case that someone had a very rare, it's called a mega mutant ape, and they're roughly valued at $1 to $1.5 million. And I don't know the reasoning behind why this person did it, but they took a $350,000 loan out against their ape. So there was one guy who had this ape. There was someone who was willing to provide this loan of $350,000. It was DAI, but we'll just say it's US dollars. And they agreed upon some terms, percentage. Hey, I'll pay you, X percentage over 90 days. And what happens is it gets locked in an escrow contract, which means that an escrow contract is just a smart contract, which is controlled 100% by code. So the two scenarios are A, the person who took the loan out pays back the loan plus the interest on the agreed upon before the agreed upon day, and he gets his NFT back. Or if he doesn't, then if time expires, the NFT gets defaulted. The NFT goes to the person who provided the loan, and then the person is stuck with the money. So theoretically, this person, if they thought they could sell the NFT for more than $350,000, it would be a great investment if the person defaulted on the loan, because they could then sell this NFT for theoretically, even if it was just 2x the price and it was up to $700,000, that's still well below what the expected value of the NFT was. So that's one of the ways that you're able to do it. Another way is via NFT fractionalization. NFT fractionalization is a way where you could fractionalize all or part of your NFT. There's different protocols and there's different nuances between it, but the general concept is that you take a non-fungible token and let's say you fractionalize 20% of it. You'll fractionalize it into these ERC20 tokens, which represent a partial ownership of your NFT. These tokens that can then be traded on AMMs, like a Uniswap, and essentially represent a percentage of the NFT that you own. So you're able to kind of raise funds against your NFT without having to completely sell it. You can always kind of buy back these tokens and then have full ownership and unfractionalize it. It allows you kind of get a price discovery for some NFTs, because lots of NFTs, like these $1 million NFTs, have little to no price history. And fractionalizing a percentage of it will kind of help see what the market determines via supply and demand what the value of the NFT is. You also kind of lower the barrier of entry for investors that do not have the ability or desire to purchase a high net worth, blue chip NFT outright. Like what happens if you want exposure to CryptoPunks or Bored Apes or any of these, very high net worth NFTs, but you only want to put $1,000 in and you don't want to put $100,000 in. You're able to buy a percentage of these NFT ownership tokens, which also brings extra liquidity in. There's a very good example, which is the Doge meme. Essentially the mascot of Dogecoin. And what happened was back in June 2021, Pleasure DAO bought the famous Doge meme NFT for approximately $4 million. Right, very high net worth NFT. Not many people have the pockets to pay $4 million for an online simplified JPEG. 3 months later, Pleasure DAO used a platform called Fractional.art, which is since rebranded, but they used a platform to fractionalize 20% of that NFT into about 17 billion tokens. So a lot of people that were very hype on Dogecoin, but didn't have the funds or ability to purchase a $4 million digital collectible. But once this became fractionalized, everyone wanted a piece of the pie. They wanted to say they own a percentage of that, the Doge meme NFT. So the demand actually rose extremely quickly. And based on the value of the ERC20 tokens, the implied valuation rose well north of 300 million at one point during the bull market. So right now the price is still dropped, right? I mean, we're in a bear market, but it's still now worth approximately 15 or 16 million dollars with over 10,000 unique owners of the Doge NFT.
Can I interject for a second and ask kind of what's the real difference between a fractionalized NFT and just a regular fungible token?
So you're talking about so when you fractionalize the NFT, typically it goes into some sort of vault. And what happens is the protocol then mints these tokens that represent ownership to that NFT. So if these tokens are equatable 1-1 to each other, and they essentially represent a percentage of ownership to that NFT.
Sure, but fungible tokens, let's say like a native token, a fungible token like UOS of Ultra's network, effectively, when you own a token, you're owning a small percentage of the total market cap of the network. And in your example, you have the NFT, which is the equivalent of the network. It's the value, the thing that gives value to the total thing that you own a percentage of. And then you're breaking it down. Because like originally the concept of NFTs was that they're not something that you break apart into small pieces. Like you own the single. And that's what distinguishes it from a fungible token. And now we have kind of like the equivalent of a fungible token within the context of the value of the NFT itself. So what's the difference?
So what's the difference? The difference is that they're tradable, right? I mean, it's tradable. You're able to then do price discovery with it. You're able to trade it. You're able to send it via, transfer, and it's liquid, right? I mean, like I said, like they took, like for example, looking at the meme NFT, they took 7 billion tokens to represent 20% of the the $4 million NFT they purchased. So it's very easy and tradable to take it and go ahead and sell it, trade it in a very liquid manner. I'm not sure if am I misunderstanding your question.
No. That was it. Basically, what it actually is giving fractional participation in the value of the NFT for something that generally people wouldn't be able to participate in at all. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
So I think that there's two things that we really talk about when we have NFTs on the table. And this is going to be my last question because I know that we're already over time here. We have the community aspect, which is kind of like the thing that people come to and get emotional justification for owning the NFT from. And then you have the financial side, which is what we've been talking about the last, 5-10 minutes, which is the DeFi side of ownership, which allows you to have some sort of financial stake in these ecosystems. And sometimes I think that they seem very much at odds because when we're talking about NFTs and, for example, participatory ownership, which is fractionalized across, for example, 20% of an NFT, do you think that that's at odds with the community aspect of ownership of NFTs?
I don't. I think it depends on the community and the collection, right? I think if you're going to fractionalize an NFT that does not have very high net worth, I don't think it makes sense right now. I just don't think the use cases are there. But I think if you're talking about NFTs that have a very high net worth, I don't think that there's no gripe in the community. I don't think there's any. It's not frowned upon to do it. I actually know people. I'm a part of some of the some communities, and people love doing it, right? Love fractionalize their NFTs for whatever reasons. They use it to take loans out. I personally, I fund a lot of loans. I'd use a lot of these platforms to fund loans because I'm able to earn percentages on my, like I'm able to your yield on my tokens that I'm not using to purchase anything right now. And worst case scenario, someone defaults an NFT that I think is more valuable than what the loan I provided. So theoretically, I could save it, or and say I bought it at a discount, or I could flip it and instantly make a profit. So I think for more the high net worth NFTs, there's no issue doing it. I don't think anyone looks down upon it. I'm just not sure about the use cases for anything that's not a blue chip NFT that is worth 5 digits, if you will.
Daniel, I wanted to thank you for your time and your expertise. Thanks for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.